Hello everyone, hope you are well and you have had a good day. Firstly, welcome to the first Pavita Josh YouTube session. If you've been following me for a while, you know I like the shorter form content, so this is going to be new. I'm really excited to delve into longer form. We can go a little bit more conversational. I can delve into subjects which I may not go into with shorter stuff, and it's just going to be a really cool way to add more value, more education, and hopefully for you guys to see some different things which you haven't seen in the health and wellness field. If you are new, thank you for listening and thank you for subscribing. Before I begin, make sure you subscribe and you will get an update. You will be the first to know when I release a new video, and it will be very practical as always. So today's session, I'm going to get straight onto it. If you know me, I like to hit the mark straight away, don't want to waffle on, and I want to give you something very practical. Today is a little bit more of a story behind Pivida, where it came from, and the reason, the kind of why, my why for Pivida, and a question for you to take away. So, the original idea of Pivida came many moons ago. I mean, I've been training and educating myself on health for years and years, working with clients over the last 5-6 years from many walks of life, CEOs of banks, executives, fashion designers, big lawyers. So I've seen what health, and I currently do see what health is from many walks of life. So it's really good to experience that. The original idea for Pavita actually surprisingly came from a talk. So I used to give, pre-pandemic used to give talks in and around London around stress, anxiety, stress management. And this talk was a little different, mainly because 100 more people turned up than what I was expecting. So straight away, I was in the deep end, but I kept it together, all was good. At the end of each talk, I used to give a breathing exercise to take away. This one was a little different, like I said, because there was 150 people. It was pretty nerve-wracking, but it was so cool to see the energy, the response, the reaction to the breath work that I gave. It was the first real trigger for me. How could I reach this on a much bigger scale? How could I teach this to many other people? I'm pretty new to social media, to be honest. Really consistently delved into it over the last year, and I really love it, surprisingly. So it's a great way for me to express and use all this knowledge that was kind of built up, actually. Didn't really use it as apart from with my clients. So it's a really good avenue for me to use all these practices and knowledge to give away. I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but that was the original idea for Pavita came from. I started it, did 6-week experiences in lockdown around mental health, anxiety, stress, everyday situations that we were all facing, and with the Pavita model, which was movement, exercise, headspace, mindfulness practices, meditation, breathwork, and nutrition practices to help with their, at that time, anxiety. Forward to today, Pavita is a lifestyle platform for everyday mental health. So we deal with anxiety, those everyday emotions, thoughts, feelings, stress, everyday occurrences, what life will throw at us daily, and ultimately our behaviors. And Pavita gives you those practices to help with those things. Really delving into people who are new as well. Say, for example, you wake up, you have no idea where to start with your health. You are confused, you go on social media, there's so many different people saying so many different things. It's a conflicting world, as we all know. So Pavita really sifts down everything to the most basic form, to the simplest form. It's actionable, it's practical, very pragmatic, fits into your lifestyle. All sessions are under 10 minutes. We're dealing with, I keep saying we, I mean it's just me at the minute, but that's cool. I'm dealing with people from the US, Australia. So it's building nicely, and I'm super happy of where it is currently. The overarching dream is to be involved with mental health care, and we can go in many different avenues with this. I have many ideas, but at the minute, really dealing with the lifestyle practices that we can all use daily in the simplest form, very practical to help with our everyday mental health. So that's kind of a really overview. I don't want to go too waffly into it. But that's where Pavita came from. So moving on to the real reason why Pavita exists, kind of my real reason. Now, I do believe it goes much deeper than this. Maybe I need to talk to someone to find out the much deeper reasoning. But I've seen how all these practices work for people's mental health. The exercises, the movement, the breath work, the meditation, the nutrition, all of these combined into one to help people's mindset, their emotion regulation, thoughts, their feelings, and ultimately their behaviors. So I've seen firsthand how this really helps. But if I'm honest, I want my children, I want my grandkids, I want the generations behind me to have something that they can trust, that they can use, that they can rely on for their mental health. You wake up in the morning, you know what to do. You don't have to sift through Instagram or TikTok and get confusing views and complicated things. The simplest form, practical, I wake up, I have something to do, I am kind of, let's say, looked after. I want Pavita to be that thing. That's the kind of overview of where Pavita started, where my first ideas were. I could probably go into it a lot more, but I just want to give it an overview for today. The why behind Pavita, again, I think there's a much deeper meaning, but question for you to take away. Now, I always like to finish on a practical sense. If you are familiar with Pavita, you know I keep things very practical, something for you to use right now, or at least to use today. Not next week, not next month, not next year, literally today. What can I give you which you can use right now? Today is no different. There's going to be one question. What can you do for the next 60 minutes which will impact your life positively? Now, we're not thinking weeks, days, months. We're not making goals. We're just thinking, what can we do for the next 60 minutes to make our life better, essentially? It could be going for a walk. It could be, you know what, I haven't moved today. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to spend the next 60 seconds to improve myself. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about next week. Just the next 60 minutes. Sometimes I even say, what can you do for the next 60 seconds? Which is a really good question to ask yourself if you are suffering in the mind, you're going through a lot of overthinking, overwhelming thoughts, anxiety. You can't seem to break that thought cycle. What can I do for the next 60 seconds of my life to improve the situation is a really good question to have at hand. Today, I want you to think of what can I do for the next 60 minutes which will improve my life. It's one to think about, it's one to ponder. Usually we're thinking too far in the past, thinking of stuff that went wrong. We're too future thinking, worrying about things that might happen. But we really need to home in on what can we do for the next 60 seconds, bring ourselves back into the present moment. And hopefully gets you thinking of these tiny little steps that we can go and make our life better in the very smallest term, incrementally over time. What can you do for the next 60 minutes which will improve your life?